The VAR Show. The one place for your weekly football update.
So today we have Dr. Errol Sweeney, who has more than 25 years of experience as a referee in South Africa, and he's very established, and he was known as the hanging judge for his performance there. And of course, he has also of late started mentoring. Of late, I mean like 10 years maybe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor. Like around 10-15 years, you have been mentoring coaches also. I mean referees also for quite some time, and who have gone on to represent at a very high level. And I would like to first thank you and Thapit for making this happen once again after the last interview. And so to begin with, Doctor, do you have anything to say?
No, it's very good to be with you guys. I see a lot of faces I haven't seen before, so nice to see you guys.
Just let Doctor know who all are the. We have people from Nepal, like we have a lot of established referees like Sudesh ji, who is like FIFA referee. We have also Alok from India and Joel he's in UK right now. So we have quite a mixed bunch of people from different geographical locations. And so I'll start with Sudesh ji. Do you have any question to start off with?
Directed at me?
Just 1 second, yeah.
No.
Hello, good evening. Good evening,
Doctor,
everyone.
can you hear him? I think I have to mute people here. Yeah, Sudesh ji, carry on. I can hear you.
Good. Yes. Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
So, okay. So good evening. My name is Sudesh Kumar Pandey. So I'm a FIFA referee since 2011 till now. So I'm very glad to happy with Mr. Doctor. Yeah. So today, So on behalf of all Nepalese referee, so I wanted to thanks to Subhas, who is organized such a very helpful for us this type of webinar. So I want to welcome to the Mr. Doctor on behalf of all Nepalese referee. So later I will ask you about all questions. So now just I want to introduce myself. So that's why. So nice to talk with you.
Okay, so I'll if you do not have question, I'll go to Alok. Alok, do you have any question? You can just go ahead. You mute yourself, Alok.
Oh, I'm extremely sorry. Hi, good evening, Dr. Errol and everyone presented. First of all, I would like to thank Subhashish for conducting this webinar for us, which is really helpful. I just want to ask you this question, sir. That during the transition from your starting days as a referee, then becoming a national referee and then international referee, or when you become instructor, so how did you manage those transitions in your life as a referee from as a base starting as referee, then you became from a state referee or a national referee? So because there are a lot of changing things that happens, because once you are in a district, then you go to state, then you go to national, then international. So how did you manage all those transition in your life as a referee?
Well, it's part of life. I mean, you start off quite young, and as you get better and you get more experience, you then move up the ladder. It's almost like a natural transition, and then you go through your senior career, and then you retire, and you become an instructor, or an assessor, or a trainer, or a mentor, or a coach, whatever you want to call it. I have never ever gotten involved with teams, nor would I want to be involved with teams. I believe referees should be totally and absolutely neutral and make their decisions based on that neutrality. Very similar to the judiciary, the law, the judges in any country They should always be neutral and not show any favor to one side or the other. You would never see a judge speaking privately with the prosecution or the defense. And likewise, I liken referees to be like judges. We have to be not only neutral and objective and fair, we have to be seen to be neutral, objective and fair, and not to be seen to be even sometimes. I mean, I was in South Africa for 14 years and I know there's a lot of suspicion there. If they see a referee or an assistant referee talking to one of the teams, there's an immediate suspicion that that referee is having some conversations about how the game could be influenced, or sometimes even accused of bribery. Oh, what were you talking about? Oh, we were just having a conversation about politics or the weather, or yeah, that's what you say to us, but we don't know what you know what I mean? And that suspicion is always there. Now, I'm not saying referees should be antisocial either. By all means, be sociable, be courteous, pass the time of day, you greet people and so on. But that's it. That is absolutely it. No further conversations with the team unless in a professional capacity, that you're inquiring about players' boots or the colours that they clash, or the goalkeepers clash with the players, or that sort of thing. That's what I mean about being professional at all times. Be seen to be there, be courteous, talk to them, speak to them, but only in a professional basis. No joking, no sort of sharing jokes and idle conversation, because that, I'm telling you from experience, that can be very easily misconstrued if you're on speaking terms or joking that you're, oh, well, maybe it's something else. So you're better off, you go to the ground with your assistants, you go through your duties in a professional manner, and you behave yourself always in a professional manner, that neither side, neither team can say that you are in favor of one team or the other. Because I can promise you, and I know it, I can promise you, as soon as you go on the field, and if you had been talking to one of the teams earlier, or one of the players or the coaches, and then you go on the field and you give what we call a 50-50 decision to that team, they will accuse you because they saw you talking half an hour earlier, 10 minutes earlier to that team, and maybe the other team now feels, oh, well, we should have got that decision. But we saw the referee talking to that team, so therefore he's going to favour that team. These are the problems, believe me, that can arise and do arise and will continue to arise. You must stay away from the teams other than to carry out your official duties. Be nice, be courteous, greet them by all means. But that's it. Can I just add on to that?
Yeah, please.
This thing about shaking hands at the beginning of the game. The players walk along and then the other team comes this way and they're shaking. Well, there's no shaking hands now. But that sort of thing. I don't think referees should be involved in that at all. Oh. If the teams want to shake hands, by all means, go ahead. The referees should not be involved in that type of activity because it's waste of time, it's hypocrisy, because as soon as the game starts, you're shaking hands with the players and then suddenly the players are at you complaining about some decision. So what about the shaking hands at the beginning? It means nothing. You're better off staying away from them.
Okay. Just want to ask a question related to the same thing. Like from a transition from a national referee to your international project. Okay, so we are new. I'm a national referee. So we are new. So when we go to international project, how do you cope up with the unknown referees that are colleague with you? So, because they have different communication set skills, so we don't know. So how do you approach and deal with the situation?
God gave you 2 eyes, and 2 ears, and 1 mouth. So you listen and you look twice as much as you speak. If you're not sure of something, just see how are other people behaving. I'm a Catholic, and I've been to many different religious services, many different religions, Protestant, Muslims, Hindus, all the different religions. I've been invited. So I don't know how to behave. So I just go along and I look and I see what are others doing, and I do the same. So when you go to the next level, look and learn. See what others are doing and do the same. Don't speak too much. 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth. Listen, see twice as much as you speak.
Follow the ratio.
So definitely, I have one question which might be relatable here because many of them are young referees and doctor, in your career you moved from your homeland to South Africa. How difficult was it for you to move from one country to another, a different continent in fact, and manage it? What was the procedure to follow? Because many of them may have that aspirations going forward.
I didn't find any difference. I was very well trained and coached in this country by a former FIFA referee, and I carried all that I had learned from him to South Africa, and I did the same thing there. There shouldn't be any difference in refereeing in one country than refereeing in another country. You have the same laws of the game. You have the same rules apply, and you should just apply them. It's the laws of football, the FIFA laws of the game. It doesn't matter what language they're in. It's an international almost language. A red card here in Ireland is the same as a red card in Nepal or South Africa or China or the USA. It doesn't matter where you go. The fouls are there. You know which ones are direct free kicks. You know which ones are indirect free kicks, and you apply the laws accordingly. I mean, how do you think that a referee coming from another country with a different language to the country that he's coming to, how does he apply the laws there? He has them in his own language. You guys, I don't know if you have them in Nepalese or you have them in English, whatever. But if you get a referee, let me talk about Europe. If you get a referee coming from, say, Germany to the UK. Now, Germany, they speak their own language. Yes, they speak English, of course. But let's go another one. Let's say Russian. A Russian referee coming to the UK. Whether he speaks Russian or whether he speaks English makes no difference. The same law applies. The same punishment applies for the incident that occurred. And fouls and misbehavior doesn't have a language. It has an action. So it's the same action in Russia or Nepal that it is in the UK or in Ireland. So the same thing applies.
Definitely. And now I'll move to Joel. Joel is from India, but he's in UK and he's a coach and he's also doing his refereeing badges. So Joel, do you have any questions? I think he's not. I don't know. Okay. I think we'll move on from him. He's not here right now. So Sapan, do you have anything to ask? Yeah, he's here. I'm so sorry, Sapan. Yeah, Joel, go ahead.
Okay, no worries. Hello, doctor. Good afternoon. Since we share the same time zone as well. How has the for example, for me, mainly as a coach, right? People say as coaches you need to be thorough with the rules and conditions as well, but you can see a lot of new rules and regulations being amended every now and then, every year, especially with FIFA, because they amend at least 20 rules and regulations every year. So, for example, even the offside traps and all that, and there's been rules from the keeper changing with handballs and all that as well. So, adapting to that as well, how often do you see changes in a game though? Let's say from a game from the 1980s where where a lot of rules have not been amended, and you look at rules and conditions now, let's say in 2020, and how do you see the transition of the game? Has it become better with the rules and conditions, or especially now with VAR as well? What was the weightage on that? I would like to know more on whether it's for the betterment of the game, or do you feel like it's only for like to make sure the judgments are right, but do we put entertainment aside though when we make these amendments of the rules?
Look, everybody has their own opinion, and I have mine. And that's the good thing about living in a democracy. You're allowed to express your opinion. Others may not necessarily agree with you, but you have your opinion. And in my opinion, they have made far too many changes to the laws of the game in recent years. Too many changes and too quickly. I mean, in the past, you had what happens is with IFAB, the International Football Association Board, which is made up of 8 members. You guys may know this, you may not know it. Yes. So bear with me if you do know it, and for those of you who don't know it, well, it's a learning curve for you. IFAB is made up of 8 members. 4 of those members are from what they call the home countries, which is England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And they have that privilege, if you like, because England or the UK is where soccer or football, whichever way you want to call it, was first created. So they have that privilege, and they've had it since way back in the 1800s. So that's 4 of the 8. The other 4 are taken from the rest of the FIFA family. So you've got 8 people, and anybody, and I mean anybody, can send in a suggestion to IFAB to say, I think this would be a good idea if you change it, or you can use that, you can change that, or you can do that, and so on. So you can send in your suggestion, and those suggestions are all grouped together, and IFAB meet around February, March of each year, and they go through all these proposals, and then they decide, yes, that's a good idea, no, I don't like that, we won't put that in, and they put them in. And those new changes then come into force around June, July sometime in that year. So those changes every year. But in recent times, what they've done is they've gone through, and I was looking for my book. Here it is. This is the latest one that I have. Since then now, FIFA have been putting them online, so they're really not making hard copies anymore. But they went through this book page by page, law by law, section by section, and made a whole lot of changes all together. And suddenly people are saying, what's happening here? But I thought that was that. No, they changed that last year. Oh, really? Did they change that last year? Yeah, they changed. Really? And they also changed this and this. You know what I mean? Too many changes. Look, for example, somebody mentioned the offside. The offside is causing absolute chaos. Now, before the VAR, the video assistant referee, it was based on the assistant referee on the line. You know the old way, guys. I'm sure some of you have even refereed, handled games on your own. We've all done it. We've all, without assistants, without linesmen, we've all done it in the lower ranks because there aren't enough referees to go around. So you do a game on your own, and there you have to do everything, including the offside, and you're not going to get them all right.
Sure.
Now we had a linesman or assistant referees, and now they're getting it wrong. And you know why they're getting it wrong? Because they're human beings, and human beings make mistakes.
That's
and
true.
You can only see what you can see across the line. In recent times, they have cut the pitches with the lawnmower in blocks of maybe 5-6 yards or meters, so it makes it a little bit easier. But even then, they're getting it wrong. They're not getting it wrong. It is wrong. So is VAR necessary? Yes, it's necessary to get the decision right. But, and here is the problem, It can mean millimeters. It can mean millimeters whether a player is offside or onside. And you know who's the cause of all this? The television companies, the sports companies, because they are now doing action replays from behind the goal, from across the line, from all different angles. And now it's got to the stage where a player's foot is millimeters, an attacker's foot is millimeters ahead of the defender, and therefore he's offside. And that has happened. And you know something? It's going to continue to happen unless you get rid of the action replays from all these different angles. And that's never going to happen. Why? Because the supporters want it. They love that. But maybe it's important also to keep VAR, and if it's a millimeter, well then it's a millimeter. Because you can, whether you're 1 millimeter offside or 100 kilometers, it makes no difference. You're offside. And they're actually doing it now. You know,
I think, Doctor, you froze. Okay. I think even I think Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's back.
And
It's back.
now, of course, they're now saying, oh, well, it used to be any part of the hand or the arm. Now they're saying, oh, no, we'll put it up to about here. So above here is not a handball, and down there is a handball. How are you going to decide? But likewise with offside, if that's, can you not be offside by that much? Or are we just talking about your foot? See the problems? Sometimes a solution causes more problems. And I think that's what's happened in this case.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Okay, we'll move on with Sapan. Sapan, do you have anything to ask?
Sorry, I waffled on a bit, but it's important to get that point across.
That's true. Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Dr. Dev and everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Subhash brother for conducting this type of webinar, which is very helpful to referees like us. Today, I want to ask about VAR in Premier League, especially in Premier League. After watching VAR, also referees are making mistakes, like Bruno Fernandes penalty by Jonathan Moss. That was the great error. After watching VAR, also, Doctor, why do you think this is happening in Premier League? Do you get my question?
I didn't get the first part. It broke up there. Okay. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, I am asking about VAR especially in Premier League. You know, VAR in Premier League.
Okay, I'll just say it. You can, yeah, someone say. I think doctor is hearing.
Okay, by watching VAR, also referees are making error, like Bruno Fernandes penalty by Jonathan Moss and many others error. But after watching VAR, also, why, doctor? Why do you think this is happening in football? Why do you think this is happening after watching VAR also?
I'm not getting the question. Can
so
you
the question is basically, so you know, like in the Premier League, the VAR is being used, and in spite of that, there are a lot of errors. Like he says, like the Bruno Fernandes penalty, which was, I think, Jonathan Moss was involved. So he's asking, why is it happening despite of using VAR? Why are the errors still cropping in when it was introduced to remove the errors? I think that is the question, right, Sapul?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Look, they are saying that VAR is very, very expensive, and that's why they can only use it in the Premier League. That it's too expensive to use in the lower league. But to me, that is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The VAR per se, yes, the system. But I was doing this in South Africa many years ago when the chief executive of the league asked me to go to the outside broadcasts, you know, the big trucks they have, the television trucks, and to go into that and to view situations and give opinions on it. So my point is, why do you need that camera at the side of the pitch? Because English referees are not using it. And they are wrong, by the way. They've been instructed. The FIFA protocol is that they must use it, but they're not using it. Why? Because that gets them off the hook when it comes to making a controversial decision. And you'll notice very, very, very seldom will they go to the pitch side monitor and say, yes, I've seen it, I'm giving this decision. They won't. They're listening, and they're letting the guy up there or wherever he is, the video assistant referee, they're letting him make the decision, and then they'll come back and they'll go, bump, 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 penalty or no penalty. That is wrong, because in this law book, Law 5 says clearly,
the referee is the decision
referee
maker.
has the final say. He has the final say. He can overrule the VAR. He doesn't have to accept it. The referee still has the final say. Law 5, which deals with referees, clearly says the referee has the final say. But the English referees are not doing that, because in my opinion, they're cowards. They won't make the decision that needs to be made. They prefer to blame, oh, it's not me, it's this guy up here. He made the decision. That is wrong. But getting back to your original question, they're only using it in the Premier League because they say it's so expensive. But I don't think so. Because even at lower league games, and I'm talking about English Championship, League 1, League 2, or even non-league, they have cameras at different angles and they can show the replays. Why can't there be a referee in the outside broadcast truck and relay it, because they're all wired up? Why can't he say to him, it's this or that? It doesn't have to be VAR. The VAR system, not in its current form, the VAR system has been there for a long time. They've been playing action replays over and over and over from different angles, but they hadn't got the VAR system. But they don't need it because it's already there. So I don't know why they're not using it. Only they know. But soccer politicians, once soccer politicians get involved in things, I won't say too much because I might say something that might be defamatory, and I'll be in court.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor, for this great answer.
You're welcome.
So we'll move on from you, Sapun, and Sudhishji, you have any questions?
Yeah, can you hear me, Doctor?
I can't hear Subhu.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Sudhishji, can you speak a little bit louder? I think that is the problem. Like, we can't hear you.
Okay. Now, is it okay?
Yeah, I can hear
My
you.
sound
Doctor,
is
can you
coming
hear him?
up?
Yeah, I can hear him, yeah. But the line is breaking up.
Yeah. So due to internet or something, I don't know. But yeah. So, Doctor, as a instructor, when you go for the match and you was the as an instructor to the game, and then the referee makes some mistake or something else in during the match, and after the match, when you go to meet with the referee, and how do you think, how do you motivate and encourage them to not repeat again like this? So how do you motivate as an instructor?
I think a match referee or the assessor should always be an ex-referee. I know in some instances they are having officials of the league acting as match commissioners who have never been a referee in their lives, and they know absolutely nothing about refereeing. I believe the referee assessor not only should be an ex-referee, he should be with the referees before, during, and after the game. Just like a coach is with his team before, during, and after the game, the match assessor, being an ex-referee, should also be with the referees before, during, and after the game. So he helps to motivate them and he helps to get them focused on the game because he's been there, he's experienced. He has all this experience to be able to get the guys motivated and prepared. Not only physically, I mean, they should already be physically prepared, but psychologically and mentally prepared and focused on what's ahead. And then at halftime, you come in and you say, yeah, that was a very good half. You pick this up. And by the way, you missed this or you missed that and so on. And if you can do that, and then at the end of the game, likewise, you summarize the game and you say, this is what happened. You should have done this. You should have done that. And then you go away. And you know, if you only learn and correct one mistake in every single game, by the end of the season, having done maybe 40 games, you'll be absolutely brilliant. But it depends on the match assessor and who he is. The days when match referees and match inspectors used to come to the dressing room and kick in the door and start shouting and screaming, you missed that penalty, you should have sent that guy off, and those days are gone. Those days are gone. You don't do those things. Because the guy may already know, the referee or the assistant, he may already know that he's made a mistake. He doesn't need to be told and have it rammed down his throat. He needs to be encouraged because he's already maybe low now and not feeling very good because he's made these mistakes. So he needs encouragement. And he needs advice. And it's got to be constructive. Not shouting and screaming and all that sort of thing. It's got to be constructive and in an advisory capacity. But the referee inspector, in my opinion, and if I was in charge of referees in any country, that's what I would be doing. I would say to the inspector, you are in charge of this game today. I want you there 2 hours before the game and be with the referees. And I would go to certain games as well to make sure they were doing their job. And if they weren't doing their job, I would take them off the list. And I used to do that in South Africa when I was appointing the match officials and appointing match inspectors who were all ex-referees. I would turn up at games unannounced to make sure the guys were doing their job properly. Not that I didn't trust them, but just to let them know that not only are they watching the referees, they're also being watched. So there needs to be somebody assessing the assessor. And I went around to games, drove to some games, had to fly to some games, but I would always go unannounced.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sure. We'll move. I think we'll move. Alok, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do have. I just want to ask again that. So before matches, do you go through the tactical intention or the formation of the team, or is it a good idea, or as you said that law is law, just go by the action, or is it
go
a good
by
idea?
the laws of the game? Go with the law. When you say teams, tactical, I presume, are you talking about the referees?
Formations of the team or the tactical intention.
Well, the referees run what they call outside rights. So you have the guy back here and the guy up there, and then the referee does the diagonal across the field. FIFA have experimented with that in many ways. There was a straight diagonal, corner flag, and then they did this one, and then they did all kinds. You know, there really isn't one specific one for every game because all games are different. All the action in this game could be in the middle of the field, or it could be down that end, or it could be up this end, or it might be over the side or over this side. So you don't know. So as a referee, and I always liken a soccer referee as being like a boxing referee. You can't stand in one corner and watch a fight. You have to be where the action is. And you can almost be certain the action will be where the ball is, generally. And your job is to follow the ball because that's where the action is going to be. The assistant referees, their job is to watch behind your back, that there's nothing going on, and things do go on. And, you know, players can get involved because the referee is running down this way. Meantime, there's the centre forward and the centre back here are having a tussle or a fight maybe. So That's the job of the assistant referees, not only to do offside and throw-ins, but also to watch behind the referee's back to make sure that there's nothing happening and to pick up these things. I have seen so many times assistant referees running the line and following the ball and following the game. And in the meantime, there's a fight going on over here and they haven't seen it. That's not your job. Your job is not to be there to enjoy the game per se. Your job is to be there to ensure that the game is played according to the FIFA laws of the game, strictly with no deviation. Because as soon as you deviate, people say, but you didn't do that last week, and you didn't do that this week. Why are you doing it this week? Stick to the laws of the game. It really is, with a little bit of leeway, black and white. It's either a foul or it's not a foul. It's either offside or it's not offside. It's either a penalty or it's not a penalty. It's one or the other. It's not maybe. I remember a referee during my time, and he was coming to the end, and this was when offside, if you were level, do you remember that old way? If you were level, you were offside. And I remember him saying to me, and I'll never forget these words. He said to me, if he's nearly onside, he's definitely offside. Just think about that. If he's nearly onside, he's definitely offside. So, you know, an assistant or a linesman would come along and say, yeah, well, I thought he was nearly. No, if he's nearly onside, he's definitely offside. Of course, now they've changed it, that you have to be clearly in front of the second last defender to be offside. So if you're level now today, you are now onside. But it wasn't always that way.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to Joel. Joel, do you have any question?
Not now, to be honest with you.
Okay, so I think I'll go to the question, Doctor. This will be very, very might be controversial, and you have a lot of young referees here, and generally, we spoke earlier that I'll just repeat it, that generally referees will be lucky to manage one final in their lifetime, but you have the likes of Anthony Taylor or maybe even Martin Atkinson, who are managing multiple. Maybe they have. So what is your view on it?
Sorry, can you just, I heard Anthony Taylor. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so Anthony Taylor managed his second big final this week, last week. So, and we have a lot of young referees today here, who may be dreaming maybe to manage maybe finals, and if an experienced referee manages double, so they will not get a chance. What is your view on this full fiasco about Anthony Taylor managing two finals?
I don't agree with it personally. I don't know how many referees there are in the English Premier League, but there's only ever one cup final per year. I mean, there are other, if you want to call them lesser finals, you have the League Cup and you have the Charity Shield and so on. But there's only one FA Cup final. And I don't understand how you can have the same referee doing the FA Cup final 3 years apart. I think it was 3 years ago he did his first one, and now he's got another one. What does that say to the other referees on the Premier League who haven't got a cup final, and with this might never get a cup final? Because if let's use a round figure. Let's say there's 20 referees on the Premier League, which is probably about right. But I don't know the exact number. But let's say there's 20, and each guy gets a cup final once in his lifetime. That means it could be 20 years before somebody else gets a final. Now, this referee has got a second cup final within 3 years of getting his first one. What does that say to the other referees who have not done the FA Cup final and may not get one? What does that say? Likewise, you had Premier League referees doing the Championship playoff game last night. And not only that, they also did the second leg of the semi-finals. Paul Tierney, Chris Kavanagh. They did the second leg of the semi-finals, and last night Martin Atkinson did the final. All of those guys are Premier League referees. how come the championship referees, the guys who are refereeing every single week in the championship, are not good enough to do the semi-final or the final? Now, I had this argument on a radio show this morning, and their argument there was, oh well, there's so much money involved for a team to get promoted from the championship to the Premier League is worth about 160 million pounds sterling. Now, I don't know how much that is in Nepalese currency, but it's a lot of money. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't care if it's 160 million or 160 billion. It makes no difference to us as referees. Our job is to go out there, referee a match according to the FIFA laws of the game between two teams of 11 players with, I don't know how many subs they do. That's another thing now. They're using extra substitutes because of they've been off so long, and so on and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, what is the difference between refereeing that game last night? And by the way, there was nothing in it. It was a very easy game. I watched it. There was nothing controversial. Somebody says, oh, Martin Atkinson could have given a red card. You know, are they now telling me that a championship referee would not have given a red card or would have given a red card? There was nothing in the game. Absolutely nothing. For the so-called importance of the game, that there was 160 million pounds sterling at stake, it didn't seem like that to me. It seemed like I've seen more action in a Premier League game than in this so-called cup final as to who was going into the Premier League next season. I have a big problem with that. If I was a championship referee in England right now, I would be very annoyed. I would be very, very annoyed that they're bringing in guys from the top to do the games that I have been doing all season. Because every game you play is important, because you get 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, and none for a loss. So every game is a cup final, because you're moving closer to promotion or to the playoffs. But likewise, if you lose, you're moving closer to relegation, and you could be relegated. So those 3 points, to me, and I know people will disagree with me, those 3 points are the same as 160 million pounds for winning last night, because you want to get promotion, and if you're down the bottom, you want to avoid relegation. So how can they tell me that Martin Atkinson would do a better job last night than some of the championship referees? I've seen these championship referees. They're very good, some of them. And I've seen the Premier League guys, and some of them are very bad. And the standard of refereeing in the UK at the moment is very poor. I was once asked, who would your top 10 referees be in the world? And I gave a list. In fact, I did a blog on it. And I gave a list. And a guy came back to me and he says, those are your top 10? I said, yes. He said, I don't see any English referees there. I said, no, you're right. And I said, I'll tell you something else. They wouldn't be in my top 20, let alone my top 10, because they're not good enough. Do you know that there wasn't one referee, English referee, at the World Cup in Russia 2 years ago? What does that say? There's nobody in the refereeing fraternity in the UK say, hey guys, what's going on here? None of our referees have been invited to the World Cup. What's going on? We invented the game. We're supposed to be the best league in the world, and yet we don't have one official at the World Cup. I would be asking questions.
Definitely. And like, if anyone has any question, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, yes, doctor. So, in our country, so many young referees are here, so they want to, all are to become a top referee. as an instructor, as a referee, you are very senior and you have a very good experience and as a long time. So, in your opinion, what is the key skill do you think the possess to become a top referee for the young? Because they want to, everybody want to make a top referee. So, in your opinion, what is the most important thing to become a top referee?
Dedication, commitment, fitness, complete and absolute knowledge of the laws of the game, and most importantly, be firm and be fair. We used to have a three F's in over on this side: be firm, be fair, and be fit. Be firm, be fair, and be fit. You've got to. You can't do like anything you want to achieve in life. You've got to give 100% commitment to it, and you will be noticed by the people who promote and relegate referees, unless you have, again, and I refer back to them, these soccer politicians, people who have a secret agenda, who don't like you for what you are, for where you come from, what your hair, whatever reasons. I don't know. They can come up with all kinds of funny excuses. But if the people who are in charge of refereeing are fair and objective and look at you as a person who can make it, and not as a person about where you come from, or you know what I mean? If they take all the personal stuff out of it, look at the person. Is he a good referee? Is he firm? Is he fit? Is he fair? Is he dedicated? Look at all of those things. Is he committed? You have to have all of those things, and you will. That was the philosophy I always adopted. I look at somebody who is committed to what he's doing, turns up on time, is never late for matches, sends in good reports, looks smart and clean and tidy when you go on the field. It's impossible, I know, when it's wet and raining, it's impossible to keep your uniform clean and your boots clean and all that. Are you there on time at the game? If the game is at 3 o'clock, are you coming in at 2:30 in a hurry? That's not dedication. Referees at the bigger games, certainly in South Africa, and I've been there now for a while, the referees have to be there a minimum of 2 hours before the game. The match commissioner has to be there 3 hours before the game. And if they're later, if the players or the referees are later than 2 hours, they're reported and they'll be marked down on their performance. What did they look like? Were they dressed smartly? Did they have a shirt and tie on? Did they have a jacket on? That sort of thing. When I took over the referees in 1996, that was the first thing I did. I organized blazers for the referees with badges on their pockets, ties, and trousers, and they had to get their own shoes and socks. Now each referee got one blazer, he got 2 pairs of trousers, he got 2 shirts, and he got 2 ties, and they paid for those themselves. And if any of those guys turned up at a match without their blazer on, and a lot of them complained about it, oh, it's very hot, and it can be hot, but you guys know also, in South Africa, it can go up to 35 degrees. And if you're doing a match on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon in 35 degrees, it is hot, believe me. I know, I've done it. But I said to the guys, you only have to wear your blazer for a short while. Maybe an hour, maybe not even an hour, as you're walking around the pitch. Because the reporters, the spectators, the management of the teams, they're watching you. And there's an old English expression we use over this side that says, dress is half the battle. If you look the part because you're smart, you got your tie on. You've only got to go out there and do the job that you're expected to do. But up to then, before I took over, some of the referees were turning up to games in a t-shirt and tracksuit bottoms and flip-flops, you know, that you wear to the seaside for a Premier League game. No. That to me is, you haven't got the right attitude, you haven't got the right professional approach. And I changed all that. I noticed now, I was in South Africa in January of this year. They've gone back to the old way. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. They're coming with a jacket but no tie, open neck shirt. That's not professional to me. Professionalism has to start before you enter the field of play. Because when you're walking in, people are watching you and they're looking to see. And you know, you can turn up in a suit and tie for an interview, and another guy can come in an open neck shirt and a pair of shorts, and he might be more qualified than you, but you'll get the job because you look the part. So that's why I'm saying dress is half the battle. You have to look the part. It's very important to give that professional approach.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next we'll go with Harish. Harish, do you have any questions? I think you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay, we can't hear you for some reason.
No, I can't hear you.
Even I can't hear. Harish, we can't hear you.
Maybe he needs to push a little button on his screen.
Yeah.
Can he hear
You
us?
have to unmute. Harish, unmute kara.
I'm so sorry, we can't hear you. I think you can just send me a question. I'll ask him from your behalf because we can't hear you. Okay, till he figures out, we'll move on to anyone else. Alok, you have any other questions? Like, I think we'll look to wrap it up. So if you have any one final question, you can go ahead. No? Okay. So
I'm getting a lot of friend requests from guys in Nepal, and I will accept all of them.
sure. Doctor, staying on that note, I just wanted to ask, and I wanted to just, share with everyone, like, Doctor had, when he was a referee, he officiated 2 semi-finals in one day, back to back, and and he also found a bullet in his hotel room. So if you could share some stories like that with them, it might be entertaining to end the meeting with.
What was the second part of your statement there?
Finding the
one about
bullet.
the refereeing the 2 games in the one day. What was the second part?
Finding the bullet at your room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went. I don't know if you guys know South Africa, but there's a town in the middle of the country called Bloemfontein, and I was sent down there. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of? You've heard of Clint Eastwood, the actor? Have you? No. They call him Dirty Harry.
Okay, I think Doctor is stuck again.
Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was sent down to Bloemfontein to referee a relegation game and Premier League, and I was sent down to do this game. And I remember saying to the manager of the hotel when I got there, "Don't tell anybody I'm here. Don't tell them what floor I'm on. Don't tell them what room I'm in. Don't even tell them I'm in the hotel if anybody asks." So he said, "Yeah, no, that's fine." And when I got up to my room, I found a bullet on my bedside table. Now, this was a .45 caliber. it's quite a big bullet. Now, I don't know how it got there. Maybe the person who was there before me in the room left it and forgot about it, but I don't think so. But I got the message. But I did the game, and one of the teams, whichever team lost this game, was going to be relegated down to the next level. And one team did win. So one team was relegated. Now, I don't know who put the bullet there, but I took it with me, and I still have it here in my home. The second one was around the 1990s. I was sent down to Durban to referee a semi-final of what is the equivalent of the League Cup, and it was sponsored by Coca-Cola. And in South Africa, the weather is really nice, and you can easily have two games on the same pitch in the same day. The pitch wouldn't get cut up at all. And so I was there to do the second semi-final, which was due to kick off at 3:30. And I got there nice and early because I wanted to see the first game. And when I got there about 12 o'clock, the league secretary came to me and said, look, we have a problem because the first referee hasn't arrived. His plane has been delayed in Cape Town, and he's not going to make it for the first game at 1 o'clock. Could you do that game, and then we'll get him when he arrives to do your game, to swap over? And I said, yeah, fine, that's fine. And I just flippantly, I said to him, but by the way, I said, look, if he doesn't come, I'll do the second game as well.
I think Dr. Yash talked.
I went and I did the game, and when I was coming off the field, he says, you know, what you remember what you said to me, you do both games. I said, yeah. He said, we're going to need you to do the second game. We can't get a referee. I said, well, that's fine. So I went on the pitch at 1 o'clock that day, and I came off after the second game, after extra time, at about 2 in the evening. That was a long day. And I think that's the only time ever that any referee anywhere has handled two semi-finals of a major competition in the same day. And in fact, I want to show you what Coca-Cola gave me. This is what Coca-Cola gave me. And it's, as you can see, it's a radio. Very, very old-fashioned. And it's got the old-fashioned tape machine. You remember? Remember those? But it's a radio and a tape machine. And they gave me that as a thank you. So I said, well, why didn't you put my name in the Guinness Book of Records instead? I don't think anybody's ever done that. But you know, I could spend all day telling you stories, some funny stories, some good stories, and some horrendous stories about assaults and attacks, and like the one with the bullets. And another guy phoned me at my office one day and said that if this particular team didn't win, I'd get a bullet in my face. And that was on a Thursday afternoon, and the game was that Sunday. Now, how did he know? Because in South Africa, they were very strict on divulging the names of the referees to make sure that they wouldn't be intimidated. Or people calling around to their homes late at night and, you know, intimidating the referee, and they were very, very strict on that. The cup final I did, I don't know if you could see it up there. Maybe you can see it up there. It says, can you see that one up there? Sweeney is mystery ref. I don't know if you can see that. But that relates to the South African Cup final, which I did in 1993 and 92. And my name was kept absolutely top secret. In fact, I wasn't the original referee. I was the fourth official. And I only got word on the Thursday night. Remember the cup finals 2 days later on Saturday. And I only got word on the Thursday that I was the fourth official. And so I thought, oh, great, fantastic. It's only 2 days notice, but still, I was looking forward to it. Sorry, did I say 92? I meant 1988. 1988. And on the Friday night, I was already in bed. I always prepared very professionally. Now, we weren't professional in any way, but you know, you don't have to be professional as in getting paid, but you should have a professional attitude. And I had a very professional attitude, and I prepared well for games. So I was already in bed at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, one day before the game, and my phone rang, and it was the chief executive of the league saying to me, or asking me, could I come to Johannesburg for a meeting? And I said, his name was Cyril Kobus, and I said, Mr. Kobus, it's very late for me to get up now. I'm already in bed. Get up and get dressed and drive to Johannesburg. It'll be 11 o'clock before I get there. And then if the meeting takes half an hour to an hour, then I'm going to be driving home. I won't get home till 2 a.m. That's not very good preparation for a cup final. And he said, no, you're right. He said, so I want to read you a letter from the executive committee. And it's in my head and has been since then. I've memorized it almost. He said, your appointment, he said, I'm going to read you the letter. The letter says, your appointment as fourth official for the above game cup final, has been cancelled. You are now the referee of the game. Well, I was over the moon. As you guys know, as referees, it's so exciting to get a cup final from, you know, it doesn't matter what the cup final is. And I've got lots of cup finals. You can see my trophies behind me there. I was so excited because the pinnacle, the height of any referee's career is to do the FA Cup final in that country. It doesn't matter what country you're in, because that's the top game. So I was driving to the stadium the next day, and in South Africa, of all the different newspapers, they will get the front page of the newspaper and they put it on a lamppost or a pole or something, advertising, whatever it is. And as I was driving to the stadium, this front page of the Saturday Star was there, and it said, I don't know if you guys can see it up there. I'll try and get a bit closer. Get there. It says, Sweeney is mystery ref. And the sub-headline says, big match control in the hands of the hanging judge. And that's how I first got the name, the hanging judge. And I still have it today, and I use it as my email address. I take it as a compliment. I'm not a judge. I'm not even a member of the legal profession. I'm not even a lawyer. I'm a doctor. But they call me the hanging judge, and that's fine. I don't mind. And even today, people refer to me, hey, judge. I say, I'm not a judge. I'm not a judge. So I take it as a compliment. But, you know, those are the things that happen. It subsequently transpired that the original referee for that game, members of the league got a tip-off, and they went to his house, and they found his house. So why were they there? Money, maybe? Corruption? Bribery? I don't know. But I was appointed then. And going back to Anthony Taylor and so on, you know, you should only get one cup final. You should only get one cup final, and that is the cup final. The second cup final, if you get it, it's like winning anything. It's like winning a gold at the Olympics. If you win a second gold, it's never the same as the first one.
Definitely, I think.
The first one you get is always the best one, and you should only get one. Anthony Taylor getting two. Well, the English referees are a mess. There's a former referee called Mike Riley, who's in charge of the referees there, and he's He's a real soccer politician, and he never gives interviews, doesn't talk to anybody, keeps to himself. He makes all these weird decisions. So anyway, that's England. It's nothing to do with me.
Okay, Doctor, I have one final question and then I think we'll wrap up. This is from Harish. He could not connect the audio, so he has sent me the question. He has said that as being referee from Nepal, we are physically smaller. So in AFC, most of the referees are taller and physically stronger, being much talented and smarter and professional. Is there any criteria for referees for their height?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. There's a very good referee from Turkey called, I don't know how you'd pronounce it, Cahir, Kahir, Kunya Kahir.
Yeah.
Small guy. And then there was a former referee called Keith Hackett in England, was 6, no difference. Absolutely no criteria on height whatsoever. It's the job you can do on the field of play. That's all I would be looking at. I don't care how tall you are or how small you are. Wide. I would like my referees lean and mean. You know what lean and mean means? Not carrying any weight. Not this big. None of that. Even though you might be able to fly around, and I mean some of the English referees, look at John Moss. He's heavy, but he's getting around. It's starting to come over his trousers, and that doesn't look good. And if he gets caught or he's out of position, what are the press going to say? He's carrying weight, he can't get around. That's why I'm saying to you earlier, be fit, be very, very fit, look the part, and all you got to do is do the job then. But height-wise, absolutely no criteria. Can I just tell you one other story? There's a referee here, actually a guy called Charlie O'Leary, man is in his 90s now, but he was the one who spotted me and promoted me to the Premier League in Ireland way back in 1974. And he is only about, I don't know, do you guys operate in? He was only about, not much more than 1.5 meters in height. Maybe 150, 160. Small man. Very good referee. So height makes no difference.
Definitely, and on that note, I think we'll call it a time and wrap up this meeting webinar, because it's been almost more than 1 hour that doctor has given us his time. So to end, I'll ask everyone if they have any words to say about doctor or for this webinar. Please go ahead. I'll start with Sudhishji. Please go ahead if you have anything to say.
Yeah, so I would like to thank the doctor. So we learned so many things from you. So also we are very lucky to here with you. So on behalf of all Nepalese referees, so thank you so much for your such very useful comment, and also giving us very knowledgeable things. So once again, I would like to thank you very much. Once again, I want to thank Subhash Rai to organize such a like this webinar. So also thank you very much.
Sure.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. To end it, doctor, do you have anything to say? Like any piece of advice, maybe to all the referees out here?
No, nothing other than what I've said already. Just stay very focused. Be professional in your attitude. Be smart and be fit. Be on time. All of those things that I mentioned earlier, and hopefully the referee assessors, the guys who come to look at you and see, when they're looking to promote guys, they will notice you for what you are. That you're smart, you're on time, you're fit, you're applying the laws of the game. All of that. It's a whole bundle of things. And I would love one day to come to Nepal to see some of you guys.
Definitely, and on that note, doctor, thank you so much for coming and making this happen. For giving us almost 1 hour of your time today, and And many of them have sent you friend requests. And if you all have any doubts, you can ask Doctor directly. He's very interactive in his with his Facebook and whatever. Like, so, Doctor, thank you once again. Take care, and hope we can have you again to share your wisdom with everyone here. And bye.
You're very welcome. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
All right.